Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats. All the way from Chattanooga, we want to introduce you to She Trucking, Diversity and Inclusion, the future of women and minorities in trucking industry. Now, let me tell you something. This is going to be phenomenal, and I want you to put your hands together right now. Put your hands together right now and start clapping. Because we have some of the top female women in the trucking and transportation industry here today. And so we're getting ready to get this thing started off. And all the way from Orlando, I want you to put your hands together because we have a special guest and we have a special poem. We have a special guest and we have a special poem from Miss Jennifer. She's going to be reading a poem, and the poem that she's reading is by Joni Morrison.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I tell my students, when you get these jobs that you have been so brilliantly trained for, just remember that your real job is that if you are free, and I say that again, if you are free, you need to free somebody else. If you have some power, then your job is to empower somebody else. This is not just a grab bag candy game. Toni Morrison.
All righty, we really do appreciate that. Our next guest that we have here today is the COO of She Trucking. Her name is Dr. Erica, and she's going to be reading off the mission statement. Put your hands together for Dr. Erica.
Good evening, everyone. The She Trucking Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that is committed to helping women and minorities establish and maintain successful careers in the transportation industry. Thank you.
All righty. Now, let me tell you something. Transportation is not just about trucking, but it's about sailing. It's about transporting goods, services, wherever, all over the world. And so this next guest that I have for you right now, coming all the way from Brooklyn, New York, I want you to put your hands together right now for Shaquana Teasley.
Hello, 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 hello. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Shaquana Teasley. I am known in the industry as Shaq. I am the CEO and founder of Agate Solutions. Our core mission is to ensure that diversity and inclusion is always at the forefront of global logistics and international trade to ensure that everybody has a fair chance in a space that lacks diversity and inclusion. Let's talk a little bit about what is diversity and inclusion. Everyone deserves to be in a space where they are included. What does that look like in the workplace? That looks like programs that identify with the workforce. It looks like the opportunity to celebrate holidays that are untraditional. It looks like being in a space where you can be your whole self. And what does your whole self look like? If it looks like this, then that's what we're going to accept, because our swag is our culture and it will not be denied. If we already know that the trucking and transportation industry lacks diversity, what do you think that means for global logistics? I partner with 3PLs and freight forwarders to move freight globally, both air, ocean, road, and rail. That's every mode of transportation outside of a pipeline. In addition to that, I am an expert in U.S. customs regulations and the customs regulations of every major continent. So I advise companies on what is required to ensure compliance for the movement of goods legally. Do you think there's a lot of Shaquanas out here moving freight globally? So guess what that means for me? I got to represent every Shaquana out here, and I'm going to do that proudly. And how do I do that? I make sure that I represent us in a place that we're professional. We are not discriminated against, not in my space. I have over 300 students of diverse backgrounds. What is my goal? To empower them. What is my goal? To make a powerful impact that they can not just see me and see what I do and think that that is so unattainable. I make sure they can touch it, they can feel it. I connect them with the right people to change their lives. Diversity and inclusion will not be the reason that people do not have a chance, not on my watch. Everyone in this room, everyone that has the breath that can come out of your mouth every single day has a responsibility to be making sure the person that looks like the underdog is totally represented. If you are not doing that, you are part of the problem. If the Shaquanas in your life don't feel comfortable, but you have the knowledge and the expertise to open the door, and you are not supporting that, during your quiet time, when you're really real with yourself, you part of the problem. I promise. I was part of the problem. I was blessed with 3 college degrees for absolutely free. All my certifications for absolutely free. You know why? Not just because God favored me, but he favored me. But I knew early on in my career to walk into every space and ask for what I want. Diversity and inclusion will not be the definition of the lack of success. It does not have to be. If you're seeing someone in your workplace, if you're seeing someone in any capacity where you can make a difference and you're taking a blind eye, then you are just as bad as the people in power that are making the regulations to hold people back. Not on my watch. I'm going to conclude with this. We all have many gifts and talents. We all have a special something that nobody else has. Everybody can't do what I'm doing right here, right now. But God has given all of us something. We have to embrace that irregardless of the sex, religion, color, etc., that makes people different. Because we are different, unite us, we look like the best thing popping. When we are ununited, then there is lack of empowerment for everyone. Not on my watch. When I say not on my watch, I mean not on your watch. We all have a place here, and we all have a responsibility. Again, my name is Shaquana Teasley. I am the CEO and founder of Agate Solution. May today be the day that you understand that you are an impact. You make an impact. You are empowering. People need you. Stand up. Don't be part of the problem and make it not happen on your watch.
All righty, that was great right there. Now, all the way from Leeds, England, we have Andrew Pickerel, who's from Can-Am. He's going to be sharing a presentation with us just for a few moments here right now.
Setting the expectations, Larry. Thank you, Shaq. Exactly. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. My name's Andrew, and my company Can-Am. We first met Cherie and the She Trucking community at Chattanooga. They have a big show out there in September, and we figured it was something that we would like to be involved in and something that we needed to be involved in. And like Shaq was saying, be part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. So let's look at some facts and figures. Boring stuff, sorry. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics data for truck transportation show that women make up just 12.4% of the trucking workforce. Now that is up from 10 years ago. It's up by over 10%, which is great. But diversity as a whole, in the industry, 76.6%, 75% is white, 70% black, 4% Asian, and 22.6% Hispanic. But what about all the other bits of diversity? What about the LGBTQ community that's now at 7% self-identifying? We need to look at those statistics as well. And again, back to Shaq, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So why is everybody so interested in diversity right now? Well, because it's the right thing, but also there's a massive driver shortage. So it's going to help with that as well, right? So one of the things that my company is helping with, sales promo, is particularly for women in the community, it's women in STEM, which I have to remember is science, technology, engineering, and math. So we are going out of our way to promote women in those 4 industries, which we hope is going to help with diversity. So top issues in trucking industry, all the usual stuff we know about, but really should be on top of there, along with driver retention and hours of service and compliance and all that boring stuff, should be diversity, right? So this is how important it is. Okay, sales pitch. So welcome, She Trucking community, Matt's community. What we are doing, if anybody's interested in looking for technology, we're going to give you 6 months free just because you attended this presentation and you attended Matt's. So thank you very much. Back to you, Larry.
All righty. Now is the time that we all been waiting for. We got the panel here. How many people ready for the panel? Are you ready for the panel? All righty, I'm ready for them too. All righty. At this time, we're getting ready to introduce Michelle Weathersby. Also, can we get a young man over here? Can we get a young man over here to help them up the stage? All righty. Next, we have Masherie Rhodes. All righty. Next, we have Desiree Woods, all the way from Las Vegas. Next, we have Kay from Japan. And then we have Hans Galliant. Last but not least, we have all the way from Houston, Texas, Miss Jerry. All righty. So what I want you to do, I want you to tell us about yourself. Give us your name and tell us what you do in the industry, starting with Michelle Weathersby.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Lenore Weathersby, and I am the CEO of Michelle Lenore Enterprises and Lens Consulting Firm. And I help women businesses and minority businesses bridge the gaps with primes and with large organizations for government certifications, so everyone is winning. Everyone's getting that $30 million, $10 million, $5 million contract.
All righty, I like it.
Hey everyone, my name is Masherie Rhodes. Good evening. Is it afternoon? It's afternoon. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, but I help multi-6-figure trucking companies scale their businesses to 7 figures with my GPS roadmap and my 7-figure GPS method and my 7-figure roadmap, all so that you guys can put your business on autopilot and, of course, pay the least amount of money in taxes. I know that was a lot. I know who I serve.
Hi, my name is Desiree Wood. I am a truck driver and the president and founder of the Real Women in Trucking organization. We are an advocacy organization. We want to raise the standards in training and raise awareness of sexual violence in training that causes a lot of women, especially women of color, to fall through the cracks in the early months. And we want to raise awareness of the companies that need to support something like this and be here, because this is more than a tagline, diversity and inclusion, right? So I'll pass it over to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kay Makishi, and I head up marketing at Beyond Trucks, which is a software platform to help small carriers grow and to free up their time so they can really take care of their drivers. I consult also and help B2B software companies grow from 0 to about nine figures in valuation. Is just really super passionate about women and diversity in this topic. Quick shout out to Sheree Moore. I think what they're doing is really fabulous with She Trucking. and also leading partnerships with Beyond Trucks. And we are very, very, very proud to be partnered with an organization like She Trucking, who is very aligned with our missions. Thanks.
My name is Hans Galland. I'm CEO of Beyond Trucks. I serve on two non-for-profit boards. The first one is Global SF, which is an organization originally founded by now Governor Gavin Newsom in California. It's dedicated to equity, economic development in the state. And my second role on the non-for-profit is I'm treasurer of LGBT Truckers, an organization dedicated to awareness and equity for LGBT truck drivers.
All righty. Let me go ahead and introduce one more person, Natasha Martinez.
Last but not least, correct? My name is Natasha Martinez. I also work with Hans and Kay. My background's been in transportation for about 20 plus years. I've ran large organizations for wholesale distributors, recently vice president for United Natural Foods, and ran about 3,000 truck drivers.
Hi, my name is Jerry Banks with Life on the Road Recruiting. I'm on the board of the She Trucking Foundation. I own a third-party truck driver recruitment agency. We work with over 60 different carriers across the U.S. placing drivers. In addition, my agency has niched itself down to support drivers that have had a violation in the FMCSA Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. So we do education in truck driving schools, and we help drivers navigate through this process to safely and compliantly get back in the truck.
All righty. And my name is Larry Cothran. Everybody calls me L Boogie, and I'm blessing the Lord, highly favored, excited about Jesus, excited about the Word of God. My cup is running over, and I still want some more. How about you? What I do is I'm an influencer, plus I help people make the transition from a company driver to an owner-operator, telling them which trucks to buy, which lanes to run, and everything else up under the sun. So that's what I do. So let's get into these questions, everybody. All right, let's jump right into it. We're talking about diversity and inclusion. How can companies be more diverse? How can these companies be more diverse when hiring people, when bringing people on? How can these companies be more diverse?
Who are you?
Anybody?
Okay.
Well, I know in the entry-level driving sector, which is where I mostly focused on, it is actually very diverse, but it is not inclusive. Okay. And that is something that I see quite a lot. There has to be an attention to some of these drivers that are coming in that need the support system in place to help them get through that critical first 6 months so that they're insurable. And I see just many of them falling through the cracks, bad training, bullying, sexual violence. So the community is very important, to have a community around you that can help foster this. And the companies really need to be more aware of it and take action, because it's not that they're not recruiting at record levels. They are not following it through to make sure this becomes an insurable driver that can go on and become a successful owner-operator.
Right. Anybody else?
Yes, Larry, I'd like to answer that. So one of the things that companies need to look at, like Andrew, he brought out the numbers. If we're looking at the numbers, for a company to grow to whatever goals that they have to be diverse. If we're looking at the numbers, that as a corporation, that your revenue per year can grow from 9% to 36% with having a diverse workforce within the leadership space. So if we're just talking about numbers, how do we bring these individuals in? We have to hear their voice, hear what they need, hear what they are saying, okay? But like I said, if we're just looking at the numbers, I want my business to grow by 36%. So if you are a small business and you're making 100,000, 200,000, if you're a larger business and you're making 25 million, 36% of 25 million is what? So we have to hear the voices of the individuals who are coming in, and when we hear the voices and we begin to make the changes for our business to grow, our businesses will grow.
I like it. I love it. Anybody else? Hans.
I want to make a comment on fundraising. Big corporations sponsoring non-for-profits, or sometimes even venture funds who invest in new businesses. I most recently read a statistic that, based on a study that was done by DocSend, which is a technology company, they found out that women who fundraise need to take 50% more meetings, but on average raise 25% less money than men. Now let's think about that. What that means. That means how much more does a woman have to work to raise money that's even less than a man? That is not in proportion with the representation of women and men in society. And that applies for all areas that are diverse. That applies for women of color, people of color in general. It applies to gay or lesbian or queer leaders who have to raise funds for their organizations. So if you are in the privileged position to actually donate money to organizations or give money to invest in certain organizations, you should keep in mind, can you make allocations that are proportionate for these organizations so that these organizations can flourish, at least have a fair chance to represent their community.
That's great. I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I'll add 2 stories. So my dad used to be a truck driver in Japan, actually. And he moved I was born and raised in Amish County, Pennsylvania, in a really, really tiny town. And he applied to be a truck driver here in the US, but he didn't know English. So I think one proactive thing that we can do is, hey, he's a really, really hard worker. Afterwards, he became a carpenter, and I helped him with grow his small carpentry business in Pennsylvania. But it's like, hey, we kind of lost, to the company that tried to hire him. They thought he was stupid because he couldn't speak English, right? Because he didn't understand it. And so, sorry, I'm getting emotional now.
Go ahead, sister.
Yeah, so I think it is. I haven't thought about this in a while, actually, because I'm very, very grateful, to everything he gave me. I went to an Ivy League school, got a scholarship. I've traveled 50 countries. I speak 3 languages. I live in New York City in a nice apartment, and it's all thanks to his hard work, right? And my mom, obviously. But that, I think, is the story of the United States of America, right? That's the story of, hey, he didn't know English. They worked really, really hard to come here, right? To give their kids a good life. And I'm very grateful for that. So I think it is not discriminating people by their language, the color of their skin, not thinking that they're stupid because they're not like you, right? And I think that translates into whether you're hiring drivers or people in your back office, and beyond as well, right? And so I think the actionable thing is a lot of times when people are making decisions and hiring decisions, it's called pattern recognition. We tend to, birds of a feather flock together, right? And so I challenge each and every one of you to look around your friend circle, to look around who you hang out with, and challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone and to hang out with people who are not like you, who do not look like you, who speak a different language. It can be at a neighborhood bar. It doesn't matter. Say hi to a random stranger that is completely different from you and start breaking. Yeah, thank you. It's a personal thing, right? Just challenge yourself. Talk to somebody that doesn't look like you, that doesn't maybe share the same values as you, whether it's political or not, doesn't matter. Just have an open mind. That's what I would say.
All righty. Now, let me ask this question right here to Desiree. How can we implement diversity and inclusion to women of color and the LGBTQ community?
Yay!
Yeah.
We have our friends from the LGBTQ Truck Driver Network. It's their first year, so welcome, and we're so glad that you came up here. This is such an important panel because this is really a history-making event. This has never happened at any other trucking show, but this is the tagline of the year: diversity, equity, and inclusion. So there's a lot of companies that are very eager to slap this on their website without doing anything else about it. And that's why this is such an important event. So I guess the first step is, you know, you got to walk the walk. And we see you, you know, in the offices and what's going out on the front lines. The truck drivers are the face of the organization. We're the ones that pick up and deliver. And I talk to supply chain events, and I'm starting to raise awareness there and you know, make sure the companies that are in your supply chain rotation are walking the walk. They're not just slapping this on there and having their diversity and equity and inclusion panel with nobody that has color in their skin. And as Sheree said, when I think it was a year ago, don't talk about us, talk to us, with us. And that is something that, you know, it's 2022, and it's time for all these companies that want the tagline and the motto to get on down here. And I see a lot of them are not here that have that on their website.
All righty. What opportunities do you want to see in the industry? It's Jerry. What opportunities do you want to see for women in the industry?
So from an opportunity perspective, I think we definitely want to see more women from a safe parking perspective. Women need safe parking. Also, from an opportunity perspective, just the information on how to get into the industry, how to get involved and know what avenues they can take. Not just trucking. Women are in recruiting, they're women dispatchers, they're women brokers, not just driving. If you don't want to take the driving avenue, there's other avenues that you can get into. So just more awareness of what's available to women in the industry.
And how can we include our community? How can we talk to our community, knowing that it may be upon us that we have women, young girls, 18 to 21, that's coming in? How can we recruit them? How can we?
This is really important to me because we do have a lot of teenagers now that are able to come in this industry. And the women that get into this industry and they go through these fast track company-sponsored training, and then they're expected to do team driving with somebody that they have never met before. They have maybe come from a broken home. They are vulnerable. A lot of them that have been harassed or sexually assaulted, some very violently. I've been an expert witness in some of these cases. Many of these individuals never get justice, and they just leave the industry. It's so important that we make sure that these young women and men and people from the LGBTQ community are knowing, go to a community college, go to qualified CDL training, and go to a company that does not require team driving as a phase of training with a total stranger for up to 6 months. Because these companies are bringing in 100 people every single week, year after year, yet they still say they have a driver shortage, and nobody is holding them accountable for how many people went out of the system and went away and had their life damaged because they were beat up or worse on the truck with somebody that was supposed to be training them or be their co-driver. So that is really the most important message. You must research these companies and Google the complaints before you get involved with them, because some of them will blacklist you and you are not hireable somewhere else.
I want to say one thing too. For myself, starting off in the trucking industry, straight out of high school, I just had my first child. I was about 19 years old. I wish then I knew about a company like a She Trucking. I wish I knew that there was organizations. I didn't realize, you're right, how hard I had to work. One being young, one being a female, and being Hispanic. That was everything I could do that was not in my favor, correct? So I made sure, like, I followed everybody. I wanted to learn how to drive a truck. I wanted to, but again, there was no role model for me in my industry. I was working for large shippers. Unfortunately, they weren't. They were all older, much older, white males. So, you know, trying to hang out with them, I think about the same thing. Like when we bring drivers in or you bring other people in, like what are your accommodations for those people? How do you make them feel right? You gotta feel welcome. So a huge shout out to She Trucking, real women in trucking. I think that's just the greatest thing ever. I wish I'd had that when I was there. I don't think it would have taken me 20 years to get where I got.
Desiree, I got a question for you. You seem to have the hot seat right now. Do you believe that drivers can voice a contrary opinion without fear of negative consequences in trucking?
No, I don't. I mean, I didn't plan on coming to this event. I'm like so over these trucking conventions, but it was so important for me to be here for Sheree's big moment here, and also I won't name the name of the drivers sponsored for me to make sure that I came here, because there's a lot of companies forcing these drivers to be their face of their company, but they're not really doing the hard work they need to do to find out what's going on with the drivers. They want them out front recruiting. They want them to have the logo of this other organization on their truck and be driving around with it. And, you know, it's this women, we support women is like this catch-all phrase. What does that mean? You know? Do you understand the problems that are going on with the drivers, and now you want me to be on the ad for your company? And it's forcing them to want to have me come up here and say this to them, you know? Like, don't use me for your ads if you are not going to find out our concerns.
Right. My Cherie, what do you love about the trucking industry and women in the trucking industry, since you're on the financial side of trucking?
Can you ask the question again?
What do you love about the trucking industry and the women in trucking, since you're on the financial side of the trucking?
Yeah, when I tell you I love the women in the trucking industry, really because I'm a woman, okay? But what I've learned with working with companies is that, and don't get upset, men, you guys are not the organized ones. You guys are not the ones that mess with the numbers. If I'm being honest, when I'm working with my companies, I'm working with the wives that are in the background, and the husband said, just do it. Yes. And we, a lot of times, get pushed to the back end as if they are not doing majority of the work. So yes, women need to be included, and I love the fact that women are included and they're helping their spouse or their husband to do it financially. But something else that trucking companies can do is make sure that you are educating your truckers, your owner-operators, to actually know finances. And I know that's going to be hard because a lot of trucking companies don't know finances themselves. But you have to make sure that you're educating people on the financial perspective. I have consultations all the time where you guys can't even tell me what your bottom line is or what you brung in. I brung in a lot of money, I have a lot of cash flow, but I can look at your statements, if you even have a statement, and it says negative. It's negative, which means that you're running for these companies that are not including you correctly or properly. You're an indentured servant. That is what's going on, and no one is recognizing that. Everyone is saying, I need to run more miles, I need to run more miles, and no one's looking at the numbers. So yes, I love to see my women in the trucking industry because, one, we're making our husbands or spouse look at the numbers. I don't know what's going on, but you need to stop and you need to look at this number. It's not going to just be a free-for-all. You're going to end up going out of business if you do not look at what's going on. So to my women, to my spouses who are out there helping their husbands, I see you with your family member badge on. Okay, I know, because I was a family member helping my husband with them numbers. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Do not stop. And then the companies, make sure you are educating your drivers on what the finances look like. What does the number look like if it says negative? If I brung in $3,000 for one load, but then you had $3,200 go out, that means you're at a negative $200. That means you can't eat. That means how you gonna park. That means how are you gonna get home? You're not worried about this because you have another check coming in from the other load, but you haven't worried about, you didn't even make any money off this other load. So you have to know these things. So I don't know if did I answer the question?
That was great right there. Everybody give it up for my Cherie.
Yeah.
She's fired up.
All righty, so we're gonna start right now wrapping this thing up. We're gonna start all the way at the end with Michelle's Lenora Weatherby. And so what we're going to ask you is this question right here, and this question is for everyone that's on the panel right now. How can women and minorities be prepared for the future in the transportation industry?
Education. Technology is changing so fast in every industry. You know, we're hearing about automated cars, automated trucks. They are out there. And because I want to talk to all my women, it doesn't matter what color you are, this is the season of the woman, okay? Corporations, the government is looking for you. And my Cherie, she talked about the numbers. Get your house in order, get your paperwork in order, because the government wants to give you money through grants, through contracts. They want to get, the corporations want to give you money through grants, through, again, contracts, but you have to be educated. And what does that look like? Again, having your paperwork in order, knowing what's happening within the industry. So if they do ask you, you know, what your specialty is, X, Y, and Z, and you can't tell them, then they don't feel comfortable about doing business with you. So get ready to get everything in order. You know, that's why I partnered up with She Trucking, because she has a great community. This is just an opportunity for us to speak our voice and for people to hear what we have to say.
All right, let's get 1 minute apiece, and we'll ride on that. My Cherie.
All right,
The
so
future.
I'm going back to finances, y'all. That's where I'm gonna be the trucker's account. I stay in my lane, and my lane is the financing. So I would say that the opportunities would be for corporate. You know, hire someone that does not look like you. Hire a female, hire a black woman into your office to do the work. And where are we going? I want to talk about the education portion. You have to educate yourselves. And right now, there's like this big craze that there's influencers and everybody's selling courses and you can get it. But what about if the trucking company actually purchased the course for their drivers? That helps. That would be a great help. I shouldn't have to go to you guys individually when a corporation could say, okay, here's this course you need to take to make sure that you don't go out of business as an owner-operator by the end of next year. Or if we're thinking about the future, we all want to build legacies. We didn't get into trucking to drive trucking for 50 years and just be driving the truck. Right. Did you leave your kids with something? You have to educate yourselves financially, and as much as you do not want to look at the numbers, you have to look at the numbers.
Right, right. Desiree, all the way from Las Vegas.
Well, I would really like people to get more involved with improving this industry. We need to repeal the Fair Labor Standards Act that exempts truck drivers from being paid for all of their work time.
Say that again.
We need to get more involved with the truck parking coalition work that is going on. A lot of people think we've done nothing with truck parking, but Scott, right there, we've been doing this since the murder of Jason Rivenberg. Jason's Law was a petition that became a law. It is the law of the land. Every state right now has to renew their freight plan. Their freight plan can include truck parking, and truck parking is an eligible activity for funding. They have to do this, but they need truck drivers to participate. So I am on an appointed member of some freight advisory committees in a couple different states, but they're always looking for truck drivers. So when you see these surveys on Facebook, when we share them, Maryland, Texas, truck parking, they need truck drivers. Get in touch with your state. Say, I want to be involved with the Freight Advisory Committee, the Economic Planning Division. They need your voice. So for me, help us with this movement to improve the standards, bring awareness to the LGBTQ community. I would like to actually see a unity flag on websites of companies where it is friendly for them to come to and apply, so we don't have to wonder, like, do you want us or what? It's time.
Right, right.
I would say obtain knowledge. And one of the biggest tools to allow you to do that is technology, visibility, and have mentors, right? She Trucking is an amazing organization. Again, we're so proud to be partnered with them because they genuinely care. You need to get mentors. You need to surround yourself with other people who care about you as a driver or your fellow drivers and that want what's best for you and to help you grow, right? Who you surround yourself is who you become. So surround yourself with the right people.
Hans.
Thank you. Teeing off from that, At Beyond Trucks, we build technology that helps small trucking companies to become more efficient and actually to get an equal crack at the market. And for us to be able to do that and be innovative, what we need to do, we need to constantly agree that everyone in our team can disagree with me, even though I'm the CEO. I don't care. I want people to argue with me. And I think in this country, sometimes we don't dare argue publicly anymore. We just agree to disagree and move on. So I think we need to take the courage as leaders of our own organizations, or even as drivers, to have the difficult conversations, be respectful of the other party, but also be inviting to disagreement. And I think that's a very fundamental human capability that we need to nurture. I think it's wonderful that Sherry invited us all up here on stage, because we all pursue the same cause, maybe in different angle, and even if there's organizations, you know, who are pursuing the same cause as other organizations, we all care about the same thing. So having these conversations is so critical for us to move forward.
Natasha.
I totally agree with everything so far each one of y'all have said. So education, technology. But let me tell you something. When you walk into that room, you walk into an office to go interview, and you don't look like anybody else, own it. Be confident. That's good. You open the door for the diversity. You be the first one, right? It's just how it works in this industry today. And if you don't get heard, step up. Speak louder. You still don't be heard? Stand on the table. Start screaming and hollering. You're going to be heard. Confidence. Own the room. Do it. Open the door for the next person. And when you get in there, keep opening the door. I think Shaq said it earlier. If you don't, then you're part of the problem. Be the solution, people. Be the solution. Yes.
All righty. Last but not least, all the way from Houston, Texas, Miss Jerry.
Thank you. So, you know, along with everyone else, I think mine is education. Education, education, education. We're bringing 18 to 21-year-olds in the industry. They need to know how to move when they enter this industry, how to get ready and prepare for this industry. My team, Life on the Road Recruiting, we speak with at least 10 to 15 drivers a day, brand new drivers, fresh out of truck driving school, failed a drug test. Okay, their career is over before it even starts. And so everyone has a past. You know, some of these drivers, what we hear is, you know, oh, I thought I had waited long enough before I started school. I thought it was, you know, 60 days or 90 days or whatever the time period. I'm trying to change my life. I need a new job. And now this has happened. I thought it was long enough. And so there's nothing that we can do for these drivers. Fresh out of school with their Class A CDL, zero experience, a failed drug test, or a refusal because they don't understand what a refusal looks like, education needs to happen. So I've been speaking with the FMCSA. I met with them this week, and we're going to educate new drivers coming into this industry so they know how to move before they get here.
Give it up for every single person on this panel right now. That was good, wasn't it? You like it? You love it? You want some more of it? I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. All right, at this time right here, we're having a Q&A. So any questions that anybody got out there, raise your hand, and we're going to come to you, and we want to answer your questions. So who has a question? Anybody got a question? Anybody? Anybody? Right here. All righty. Here we come. Hey, how you doing? All right, what's your question?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chantel Taylor. My question is for Michelle. Would you please elaborate on the government certifications as far as women in minority business for the federal government funding?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chantel. So right now, Biden has signed a $1 trillion bill for infrastructure, you know, and under that bill, it's technology, it's bridges, it's transportation, it's everything. His big push is minorities and women-owned businesses, because he realized, again, when Andrew was, you know, he had the numbers, it should have grown. It's not growing. All right, and so as women, if we do have a small business, we need to go ahead and we need to apply to get certified so we can get these contracts so we can stay at home with our children. You know, that's huge for us. So we can buy and purchase our own benefits, so we can take care of our families, and so our voices can be heard. Because it makes a difference if my business is making $1 million or if my business is making $100 million. Because guess what I can do? I can go ahead and donate to She Trucking. Again, I'm talking about education, to educate other women, to get other women certified. And as we begin to unite, then our voices will be heard. So it's a free process. Most definitely, check out She Trucking. Like I said, I've partnered up with She Trucking to really have these open and honest conversations to really get through this process so these ladies and these minorities can get certified.
That was amazing. Who else got a question, comment, concern? Right here. What's your question? Somebody got a question somewhere. Ain't nobody got no questions? All right, who want to give? You got a question? All right. I knew somebody had a question. You got to say something, man. All right. What's your name?
My name is Jamar. I got a question for him.
Where you from?
I am from Memphis, Tennessee.
All righty. What's your question?
My question is from Marjorie Rhodes. What's one of the biggest mistakes people make in doing in taxes? What's some of the biggest mistakes during tax time the truckers make?
One of the biggest mistakes that people are making during tax time, I wouldn't even say it's during tax time, because the biggest mistake is that you're not keeping up with your numbers throughout the year. There is no during tax time. You don't prepare for taxes at the end of the year. You prepare for taxes every single quarter, every single day, because you can't come in and say, fix it, save me, I need a life raft. I don't have a life raft for you because you should have came to me in January of last year for the next January. You coming to me now and saying fix it, and the year has closed out. So definitely keeping up with numbers, that is the biggest thing. The shoe boxes, oh my God, if you watch me on Instagram or YouTube, I deaf to these shoe boxes and these receipts. I mean, Jesus, I don't want to do it. I don't want to count the receipts. It's not good enough. I'm speaking for accountants now, y'all. It's not good enough for you to bring your receipt and tell me to figure it out. No. You figure it out, so that during the year you would have figured out that your business is in trouble. During the year you would have figured out that you should have paid estimated quarterly taxes. Not, oh no, what is that?
Oh, boy.
All right, so I mean, it's not a biggest problem. You guys have to be prepared for it continuously. It is, if not, it'll sneak up on you. And the IRS don't play. If you guys have had an IRS letter or the IRS has called you, they do not play. I'm not playing with the IRS. I'm not playing with those shoebox receipts. I need you to have it in order because I care for my business and you should care for yours.
I just want to piggyback off of that. So when my dad ran his carpentry business, the same small business, so those shoe boxes, receipts, I hear you, because I had to do that. So one of the things of Beyond Trucks, the company that I'm working with, is we have a short video clip too. I love it because we're supporting small business owners who maybe can't hire somebody like my dad could, right? Like he hired me for free, right? It was like, we're giving you food and a roof. That's your payment. And so what we do is we help the small fleets basically automate all that. So you don't need the shoebox full of receipts. Everything's sort of automated, and I think there's a small video that we can, there's a video in the back. If you can start the video, there's a short little couple-second clip that we can kind of show you sort of what we do.
My name is Ali Ba, owner of Reliable Cargo Logistics. As I was researching and putting together the company, I came across Beyond Trucks and just right away fell in love with the software that they have. Is saving me significant amount of time from the accounting part to
talking about
finding loads and
no more
and
shoe
just
boxes.
putting everything under one platform. I couldn't find a better product to help me at this point of my journey.
Yeah, so again, it's kind of like you're saying, right? Or hiring somebody like you who knows the numbers and how to structure it, right? And getting the right tools and systems in place that are affordable, right? Instead of hiring somebody out. Yes, the shoebox receipts, that spoke to me because I'm like, I did that, been there.
All righty. We got a question right here.
Okay, I have a question, and in this question, I like to ask it a lot. And the reason I ask this is because a lot of people in the audience, they don't. Some people are shy, but when you come to a conference like this, what is your opinion like? All right, we're excited here now, and everybody's fired up. They're seeing the success of everybody around them. They're making new contacts. What is your advice to everybody out here to be able to apply this when they get home? Because when you get home, it's a different story, and you're going to have to get some mustard, if I say it that way. What is your advice to be able to, when you leave here, to be able to apply it and to continuously move forward?
Anybody? Go ahead, Cherie.
Okay, I would say my first advice is that before you get here, you should have a plan on who you want to talk to. It is a lot of people here, and you should know who will speak to you, who will educate you. If you have a couple of booths that you happen to stumble upon, okay, but there was a website that was posted and everyone was listed and it was in categories, okay? So in trucking, you're gonna need to have a ELD dog, a dispatcher, a finance, like you hit all of those points. And then once someone speaks to you and you've received those cards, you then go and follow up with them. That's the word, follow up. When my mentor told me the money's in the follow-up, okay?
Yep,
you call me, you say something, I have to follow up with you. And it works the same way if you have your own business and you've talked to one of us and you say, oh, that's nice, I want to talk to them. Do not go home with that bag, I see all these bags, and put them in a corner. No, you have to follow up because maybe all of the stuff that you received, it doesn't work. You got to go through it. You got to watch. You got to research and actually do it consistently. And that's hard because I'm talking to y'all. I'm talking to myself. It's hard. But definitely follow up and being consistent with the follow up because it's a muscle that you need to work. You really just got to work the muscle of following up and being consistent.
Right. All right, we got two more and then we're out of here. So, what's your question?
My question is for Ms. Jerry. I have a good question. Now, you've been talking about education, but your niche is really niched down. And you said about refusals. Can you give us a few examples of what refusals would be?
Yeah, so from a refusal perspective, there's several ways that you can get a refusal. And some of the ways that most people think aren't the actual ways. And so one example which we see a lot at our company is a driver that has checked into the lab for their drug screen, and they've took a phone call, stepped out to smoke a cigarette or something like that, and they missed their name being called. That is what we're seeing is being considered a refusal. Now, that's what we've seen many, many times and talked to many, many drivers that have had that situation. So make sure that you stay in the lobby. Make sure that you are there and that you can hear your name being called. Now, talking to the FMCSA, that is not a refusal. And so education not only on the driver's side, but also education on the drug testing facility side, because there's some drug test facilities that are giving drivers refusals, and they're getting violations in the clearinghouse that aren't. And so what the FMCSA has said is that a refusal in that regard is if you touch the cup and not take the test, that is considered a refusal for pre-employment only. If you touch the cup, not if you don't show up, pre-employment. So if you have a job and you're not, you've decided to go with a different company and you don't go take the drug test, that's not considered a refusal. So we're seeing more and more changes, and there's a lot of discrepancies. So we tend to go to the source, which is the FMCSA.
Great. Our last question right here over on the left-hand side.
Hello. Trucker Nene from Minnesota. So Desiree, I have a question for you. I think this is an important topic, and we put a lot of responsibility on companies. But frankly, as a fellow driver, we too have a responsibility for diversity and inclusion. I mean, I wish I had a window clean for my own truck so that people of color, people of different religions or whatever, knew that they could come up and approach me because I'm open to having a conversation or helping them. So what would you say to the drivers out there that are using terms like steering wheel holders, the new breed? We have a responsibility to stop it ourselves. What would you say to fellow truck drivers?
Yeah, you know, that in that term, you know, the steering wheel holder and putting down the new people that are coming in. I mean, the drivers that are entering, they didn't enter wanting to be a steering wheel holder. They wanted to come in and be professional drivers, and because of a lack of education and a lack of preparation in this industry, they end up in these carriers where they get less skills. They are in automatic trucks. They are having a lot of the responsibilities taken away from some of the older drivers. And in my opinion, it hurts them because now they don't have navigation skills. They don't know how to read a map. They've kind of been set up for failure. I would say and I took it to, I know there's a lot of bullying of the YouTubers. I mean, I had death threats. I was one of the first truck drivers on Twitter. That's how I got to the things that I've done through Twitter. YouTube, there was bullying. I got death threats. I know a lot of the other people, influencers on TikTok, have experienced the same thing. But I would just say, just keep trying to send the message. And if you have a big following, prepare the people that are following you to follow the steps to don't get a restriction on your license. You want to learn the old school way now because it's going away. It's going away, and you don't want to be dumbed down. You want to, you know, everything that you can learn from the veterans before they're gone of this industry. It's really important. And getting back to that fair labor standards, you know, when we start having autonomous trucks, they're going to want us to do that last mile work. Well, right now, last mile work doesn't pay us. So we have to start being unified on where this industry is going for the wages to make this still a viable career when we start having these autonomous vehicles. So everybody that's an influencer, start being more aware, like less with the ego stuff and more about the issues that are affecting drivers in the long term for this career.
Right. All righty. Let's give all our panelists a hand. Now at this time, let's put our hands together for the founder and the CEO of She Trucking, Sheree!
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all for coming together and allowing me to show you what diversity and inclusion look like. I didn't come on stage to be on a panel because they represented what it looks like, what this industry really look like, right? And so thank you everyone for all your support. I have Mr. Bobby up here, and it was just so important to bring him up here because he has been going through a lot at this truck show, and I want to let him know that we support you and what you're doing. We have to unify, and we have to take care of each other out here. And so this was important not only to me, but also with Mr. Bobby. I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
I just want to say, you know, in 50 years of the show, I'm really proud that we was able to pull together to be the first LGBTQ truck organization, nonprofit, to actually be here. It shouldn't have taken 50 years to do that, but I'm very proud, and we're not going anywhere. We're going to drive America forward, and we're going to stick to that goal and work with great organizations to do that. And all of these people right here are the reason and the drive that I kept going. They all inspire me, every one of them, and especially this one.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all so much.
All right, y'all, that concludes our show. What we have, we've been giving out shirts. We've been giving out the Sheet Trucking shirts. We also been giving out my brand, which is Highway Hustling. So you can go and order you a shirt if you don't have one today. You can go to highwayhustling.com and get you a shirt. Also, you can go to the if you want a Sheet Trucking shirt, you can go to the website, or you can scan the QR code over there to be able to donate to the nonprofit.
If you want to donate to the nonprofit organization, you can scan the QR code. The shirts is on SheTrucking.com. Our nonprofit organization is on SheTruckingExpo.com. And if you want to be a part of our event, the She Trucking Expo in 2023, go to SheTruckingExpo.com as well. Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right, that's it. Have a good night. Don't forget to tip your waitress.